Welcome back to this special edition of Hannity. Now, as the crisis at the border worsens by the day, the Biden administration continues to restrict media access to the migrant holding facilities. But the person Biden put in charge of the border, Vice President Kamala Harris, had a different view when Trump was in the White House. But, as usual, the corrupt and partisan media continues to spin for Joe Biden and his border failures. For example, the Washington Post was forced to correct a headline that claimed there was, quote, no migrant surge, despite there being a record flow of unaccompanied minors at the border. And a newly revealed internal memo from the Associated Press shows they were actually warned. They warned their staffers not to call the situation at the border a crisis. Also new tonight, DHS Secretary Mayorkas is reaffirming this administration's commitment to fortifying DACA, while saying, quote, only the passage of legislation can give full protection and a path to citizenship to the dreamers who know the U.S. is their home. Joining me now for reaction, radio talk show host Dana Lash and Fox News contributor Leslie Marshall. Welcome, ladies. This immigration topic is hot with me all the time. Hey, how are you all doing? And Dana, congrats on your the extension of your radio contract. I know people love you. There'll be a lot of Lash and Bongino from 12 to 3. I don't know if America can take it, but we'll find out.
I'm going to interrupt you. Congrats to you too, Dan, because you're on the airwaves. Congrats to you as well, my friend. Everybody knows that Dan and I go way back. We're good friends.
Yes, way, way back. So I'm going to start with you on this. Listen, this is not a seasonal surge here. The Biden administration has trouble with the facts. When you look at the pure data here, we've never seen numbers like this crossing in this season during a seasonal surge ever. They're just lying. You would think the media would follow up and call them out on this.
I think you raised a really good point, and especially that video that you played of Kamala Harris saying what she said just a couple of years ago. There's a huge difference. I mean, even at the peak during the Obama presidency, I mean, this is what, 6 to 7 times. I hear like fluctuations between that number, but it is way more than what it was at the peak of the Obama presidency. And we're not even in, Dan, as you know, we're not even into like the major crossing time, which is, I think, what, towards the end of spring is when usually Border Patrol says they see the most people crossing. We're even hearing from Democrat mayors on border towns, and these are people who never, they were pretty critical of Trump, and they were very celebratory of Joe Biden when he was elected into office. And now you see Border Patrol, now you see mayors, these Democrat mayors of towns saying, wait a minute, you are overloading us. We don't have the budget to handle what these policies have done and everything that's going on. Border Patrol, I mean, we're seeing the same lack of resource that we saw, but a 6 to 7 times worse crisis. So, and it is a crisis. And I think the fact that the Associated Press now, they're trying to tell their journalists, well, only quote crisis if it's someone that you're quoting. The longer that they refuse to accurately report on this, I think the worse it gets and the more suspicious they make the public.
Yeah, no, I agree. Leslie, the euphemisms game here is just nauseating. This is obviously a crisis, Leslie. I mean, everybody can see what's happening on camera. If you don't acknowledge a crisis, it seems to mean or imply you're not interested in solving it. I mean, do you agree or disagree that this is a crisis?
I've said all along that it's a crisis, but it's not what you call it, it's what you do about it. And let's look at numbers, okay? And I want to talk about the media, because before this segment and before other shows that I did today, when you look at all of the pushback and the fact-checking, even CNN fact-checked Joe Biden and said he was wrong when it came to unaccompanied minors, and when he said that the minors and the immigrant families coming over were being turned around at a higher rate. It's 41%. Overall, 70% are being turned away. Here's the problem. It is not Democrat or Republican. And Democrats and Republicans have to work together to get immigration done. One of the problems is asylum. You have to come to the checkpoint or be in the United States to apply for asylum. That can be changed, not by the President of the United States. Donald Trump couldn't do it. Joe Biden can't do it alone. That has to be done by our congressional body, by our elected officials. Politicizing this right now is beneficial for Republicans. Politicizing it for the past 4 years was beneficial for Democrats. But at the end of the day, it doesn't solve the immigration problem, which needs a multifaceted, comprehensive legislative approach, because asylum is just one of the many issues. There's the backlog. Why are these people leaving? Money that's been cut to go into these countries and more. And with regard to the drug cartels, you had a great piece with Sarah before that. if you go online and you do all the research and you look at the numbers, for 17 years we've been dealing with drug cartels, and for 17 years, by the way, crossing has been highest in January, February, and March over our borders, even at the checkpoints.
Yeah, Leslie, I get that, but you know, facts and data kind of matter, right? You'd agree? You believe in numbers and stuff, right? So I have the numbers right here. So in the last season, we had 66,000. Dana, I'll have you respond, and Leslie, I'll come back to you. But we had 66,000 was the peak during the season under the Trump administration. Dana, we've now had 100,000 under Biden. It's not even close. We haven't had a number like that in the last 10 years. I mean, if facts and data matter, by what metric is this not an exploding crisis?
No, they do. And I understand the arguments that some make that, well, there are more variables that go into this than just, whether it's regulations on asylum or MPP, et cetera, et cetera. But at the same time, that seems to intimate that the United States has a responsibility to solve the economic problems of every other country. I mean, every other country in the world has its own issues, but not every other country in the world, Dan, is expected to just open its borders and allow everyone in and is smeared and has their character impugned if we choose to do as every other country, including Mexico, chooses to do, which is to be a little bit more deliberate about the process when people are coming in. I mean, this has been a problem for a long time, and Republicans and Democrats have kicked the can down the road. But I think the issue with this is the way that the press is treating it and the way the press is covering it. To go back to that original point, you saw the press. I mean, I remember back in 2017, there were articles that were talking about the cost of keeping kids in cages. I think that was one of the phrases used. Nobody's talking about that now, Dan. You don't see any of those articles in the press about that. You don't see any Democrats down at the border crying in parking lots in front of chain link fences. So the media coverage is vastly different, and that's driving this. And that's one of the reasons, again, why people are so suspicious of the media. We can't expect media to be honest about what is happening at the border, especially when it concerns our national security, it concerns our residents that live at the border, and our tax dollars, too.
Yeah. Leslie, I'm sorry. I want to get back. I'm just out of time. I'm sorry. I have to get back to you another time. But a great debate. Thanks a lot, ladies. I really appreciate it.